Hi there everyone, this is Molly and welcome to another video in the Twin Flames Healing Journey video series where I'm teaching you and connecting with you more about the energies of this really intense experience that you have with another person. And in the previous videos, I've talked about what the twin flame connection is, what it's about, the relationship pains, what you're healing for family, what you're healing within yourself, those soul wounds, all the multiple layers that come up when you engage in this energetic experience with another person. And in this video, I'm going to now talk about the soul shock. And this is going to resonate with you if you have felt the deep pain of separation from this person. And I've realized that most people who watch this video, they are in the divine feminine role. However, this soul shock also affects the divine masculine energies. So I hope that you will gain from this information and that you'll be able to see it in a different way, because the soul shock is a really intense pain that is hard to put into words. And that's how I know if you resonate with what I'm sharing, is because you know what that is. It's beyond words, right? It's the energy of it. So let me give you some more information about what the soul shock is. So when there is a separation between you and your twin flame, a part of you at a soul level remembers the original pledge and promise that the two of you made to come together. And so for that not to happen through someone's free will choices is devastating for you beyond a breakup, a split, a divorce, something else that happens in the 3D. There's ways that, as humans, we connect with each other and then we disconnect, right? And we can do that through all different institutions and relationships and groups of people. I mean, you think about how people date for a while and they break up. And after you break up with someone, well, eventually you get over them and you move on. But the twin flame connection runs so much deeper because you know that the two of you share a bond that can never be duplicated with another person. And so for that person, that twin flame, to reject you, not choose you, separate from you, divorce you, break up with you, whatever it might be in your situation, it hits you at a much deeper level. And what it tends to do is it puts you into a shock because you're in denial and disbelief that this is actually happening. And it runs at a much deeper energy level than other breakups you've experienced or other breakups that perhaps your friends or family members can understand. And that's what sets this experience apart, is that it's at a whole nother level that not everyone can relate to. So that's also why I offer this teaching series, because I want to validate that you're not crazy and that these experiences are true and real and they're working with you at a very deep level. Now, we know that at the higher perspective, the higher spiritual understanding is that there's no wrong choice. There's no wrong choice. With free will, with what someone thinks is their best choice, ultimately there's no wrong choice because it all leads to healing and learning at some point. It's just on different timelines. And free will is part of the human condition, the human experience. We all have free will. We all get to choose what we want. We all get to choose what we put in our shopping cart at Whole Foods. We all get to choose who we partner with, where we find employment, where we, spend our money. Free will, right? All in the 3D sense, especially. In the spiritual sense, in the higher realms, the higher planes, everything's fair game because everything leads to learning and healing. So let me offer you that first, is that when you remove the free will of someone's choices, the intensity of that free will choice, you can reconnect with the spiritual understanding that, okay, at some soul level, I knew that they might choose this, or I knew this was something that they would see as an option. But a part of you deeply believed in them and deeply believed that they would get it or see it and trust their feelings. The twin flame journey is about the energy dynamic, that connection, the intuitive and feeling connection that you share with someone else. And so a part of you really thought, well, no, they're going to believe and trust their feelings in this journey, in this experience. So the soul shock comes through and comes in when they don't. And it shakes up the foundation of what you believed. And it brings you into this deep pit of despair. And typically it is the divine feminine who goes there first, because she's the leader in this experience. She's the one who understands it because she's more spiritually connected to the higher planes. And please understand that spiritually connected is being very different than connected to a religion or cultural beliefs. Spiritually connected means you are about the bigger spiritual principles of unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, all these bigger energies that drive us, that we're connected to as spiritual entities. But our free will can take us away from those connections. So the soul shock comes in because a part of you is saying, what the F, right? You're saying, are you effing kidding me? You go this far, you get this much, you understand it, and then at the last minute, there's an abrupt change or shift. It's like you've been walking down this path with someone and they do a sharp right and disappear. Or they do a sharp left and choose someone else. It's something where you are so connected to the higher energies that perhaps you've been disconnected from the other possibilities that they could see or choose. And so the soul shock is happening at a deep energetic level. And I feel that it shakes all of your chakras. Like it shakes all 7 chakras into this sense of, I can't believe this was happening. And it brings you down into a deep emotional pit of grief, anger, loss, denial, despair, and disbelief. And it feels wildly powerless because you're feeling it across so many lifetimes, and you're feeling it in a way that you've never felt before. It's almost like you can feel the energies, but then it hits your body, like it hits your physical self. And that's where the endless tears happen. The sense of endless grief, endless mourning. It feels all encompassing, like that tsunami that overtakes you, that comes over you, that just has this intense emotion, and you really can question yourself. You question everything. You question, am I an idiot? Did I miss something? How could I get this wrong? I really trusted, I really believed. And the soul shock is so intense that when it first strikes, it can feel paralyzing. And again, this is energy. Your mental self will look for the answers and the understanding, but your spiritual self, your intuitive self, and your energetic self is so jolted by the last minute change. Now, there's a lot of information out there about how this can really get triggered and ignited because of the karmic feminine who's involved, whether you knew about her or not. I have a separate video for you on what that karmic feminine energy is about. And I really hope you listen to that, and I hope it brings you peace around that person's roles and how to depersonalize from it. But the soul shock feels so personal, and it really is very, very lonely. And it's hard to put it into words in the way that other people would understand. That's also why I felt it was so important to do this video for you, because I want to validate that the soul shock is very real. In my experience, because we know that everything is energy, I felt energetically ousted by unhealthy feminine energies, where those unhealthy feminine energies, those lower energies, were actually more influential than me. And I was dealing with a bitchy mother, a judgmental sister, a crazy karmic who was not what she appeared to be, who was the poison apple. And I didn't feel safe. And I felt that it was time to move on, because I was not protected and taken care of, and I wasn't going to fight for that. Do you know what I mean? And so there were multiple layers to the energies where, like, he basically was choosing to go down another energy route, and it was a big difference in women who were unhealthy versus women who were supportive and healthy in terms of energies. And so this energy dynamic was very influential. And it's important to detach from that and to look at it as energy, because ultimately the unhealthy female energies validate the ego and validate the shoulds, and don't validate the heart, and don't validate where the growth is, or where the opportunities are, and where the higher path is. But they do validate a comfort zone and what is known and what is safe. And so the soul shock is actually confirmation that you are meant to continue on a higher path. Like, I see two staircases, and there's the staircase that's a bit like the yellow brick road, and it's paved in gold, and it takes you higher, and it could be lonelier, but it is the right way for your soul to travel. And then I see the other staircase that is darker, and it kind of goes into the demons and monsters, which I don't mean to vilify people at all, but it's understanding that there's just different energies, different intentions, different motivations, different things that people want, because they're at different places on their journey. Again, the spiritual perspective is that, okay, you can make any choice you want, and everything will lead to different consequences. And so that darker staircase takes you into a different experience. And the soul shock that you feel when someone chooses that other staircase is that you really thought you were going to go up a staircase holding hands, and you really saw it and you felt it. And it's sort of like being 90% there. And then there's this abrupt, can't do it, not going to do it, not okay, nope, 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 because they went back into their ego mental energies for validation instead of trusting their feelings and their heart. And so that results in the split and the separation. And because the twin flames are so connected on many levels, you feel it, and you feel that shift. And when you're the more spiritually evolved person, you feel it more deeply, because then you feel the shift within yourself. It's like this chasm, a canyon, right? A Grand Canyon within you. And you thought you were bringing things together because you came from a very pure, honest loving place of support and kindness and good intentions. And then the soul shock was like, what the frick? Like, you didn't see that? You couldn't acknowledge that. The soul shock reveals how much the other person is still learning and that they're on a different timeline with that learning. They're going at a slower timeline, and this is quite normal. It's actually normal for one person to learn faster, to lead the way, like to carve the path, if you will, with a machete. Do you remember in that movie Crocodile Dundee? I know I'm really dating myself here. And he has a machete and he's like cutting through, the mangroves and the deep branches to pave the way. But that's what the divine feminine is doing with your machete, is that you're the one paving the way. And so you're paving the way on that higher staircase to the higher understanding, the bigger spiritual connection. And he's choosing, or the other person is choosing, something that's comfortable and known. And so their soul shock is that, well, we agreed to do this and you're being an idiot, or we agreed and you were ready and now you did an abrupt left. Free will. Ultimately, it's all okay, because what happens is that after that karmic relationship ends, which it's meant to do, and again, I talk about that in another video, the karmic relationships with that other female are not based in true love. They're based in ego energies, materialism. It's very shallow. It's what looks good. It's what appears to be beautiful, but it's the poison apple. It's the energies that are not true love, that are not resolved. But when that is resolved, and that other person realizes the difference between you and them, meaning you and that other feminine energy, that's when they experience the soul shock. Because then they feel that chasm, that split of, I could have chosen a better path, but I wasn't spiritually aware. I didn't see it. I wasn't ready. I didn't understand. They spin in the past. They spin in what was. They go over conversations that you had. They go over what you told them or how you warned them. They go over their choices and they review. And as they review this, the soul shock comes in because they go into a deep depression. Soul shock is a deep depression. And what that means is it's a deep pressing down of energies that don't feel like love. It's a separation from love, from the understanding of love. It's depressing away from that source of love. It is an illusion. But that other party, the other twin flame, eventually feels the soul shock too. And they feel it. They actually feel it more personally because it was their choices that initiated the split. And so, regardless of who you are in this dynamic, your responsibility is in healing yourself with compassion and unconditional love, that you did the best you could at that time for who you were and what you believed and what you thought your options and choices were. And it's up to each person, each twin, whether you're the divine feminine or the divine masculine, to heal within yourself that split. The soul shock happens because it's actually your feeling of a worst case scenario. And that worst case scenario has become reality. And you thought you had done everything to avoid that or minimize it. And then the soul shock sets in because it's traumatic. It's truly traumatic. And that is something that you understand and you feel it so intensely. And that trauma, it truly is a trauma at an energetic level, because the soul shock is really unlike anything else you felt before. You can't compare it, and it takes you out of what you thought you could handle. But it will change, because getting to the heart of the shock and understanding the emotions within it, whether that is shame, guilt, anger, loss, pain, depression, all the above. The good news is that once you can identify it, it will clear it and cleanse it faster than ever, and you won't stay in it for years. I actually was in soul shock for years. I truly was. And I got through it, and I got on the other side of it, and I healed it within myself. And because of that, because it's an inner experience of healing, that's where you go. That's where you go to heal this. And if you're feeling deep despair, understand that that will shift as you continue to feel it. Again, the divine feminine is the leader of this dynamic, and she raises the bar. She sets the standards. She determines the requirements of self-respect, personal integrity, self-worth, self-value. Go there. Take care of those parts of yourself. The self-respect, personal integrity, self-worth, self-value. You work on that within yourself, and it changes permanently and beautifully, and it helps elevate you out of the soul shock, because it is so intense and personal that it's easy to feel that you're lost in the maze of it, or you're a hermit, or you want to disappear. But when you're honest about how you feel, when you're truly honest about it within yourself and you identify it, that moves the soul shock through you. And so the divine feminine feels the soul shock first, but she also has more of the tools to move through it. I also know and truly believe that when the other individual feels that soul shock, they also have the tools and ability to move through it, and they can do it, and you're not meant to save them or do anything for them. They are meant to take care of their own healing and to understand their own choices and their own consequences. The other thing about soul shock is because you remember the connection. Again, you're more spiritually advanced, and when the other person becomes more spiritually evolved, they remember it too. So take care of yourself as needed, and understand that your responsibility and your power is within you. It is not in the other person's choices. It is not in their energy or what they choose. It's within you. You know, this soul shock is the dark night of the soul. And it's the tears and the hurt and the deep pain. But when you're honest about how you feel, it moves through you. It might take months, but it will move through you. Again, I felt it for years because this was a long time ago and the energy was different. But I know clients who are moving through this in months. So understand that the support is there for you to heal and to move through this, and that this is a healing journey, and your responsibility is in healing yourself, healing how you feel, and to be most loving to yourself, unconditional love, understanding that you didn't do anything wrong, you are not unlovable, You are not going to be left out. In fact, what happens is that on the other side of the soul shock, you elevate yourself and you connect with someone who's in that same energy as you, who has the same personal integrity and self-respect and self-worth and self-love. And if you need a reminder of that, please listen to the video I did about should I wait or should I move forward, just to give you reassurance. Because with the twin flame journey, you can have all your eggs in someone else's basket. But the final thought I want to leave you with, my friend, is that you should have all of your eggs in your own basket. And that is how you will continue to heal. I'll be back soon with another healing video for you, and please listen to my other videos about the karmic feminine energies and how to understand that, as well as how to understand more about your own energy in this experience. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.